Today at AutoFix Pro, Golf 6 diesel won't start. What is the problem with the vehicle? The engine will not start. The starter turns the engine over fine, but there is no combustion in the cylinder. Reading the error memory with the Bosch ESI-tronic revealed the following error code: P229400, fuel pressure control valve 2, interruption, electrical fault. I appreciate likes, new subscribers, and comments. Thanks. The fuel control valve 2 has the task of adjusting the fuel pressure in the high-pressure range of the system according to requirements. It is controlled by the engine control unit with a PWM signal. In the event of failure, the engine will not run because the valve opens and only a small residual pressure remains in the rail. This is not sufficient for the engine to run. Here is an example of how to check the function. The procedure is a suggestion, and, depending on the error, also includes measurements and tests that are not absolutely necessary. I have simply listed various options here. The fuel pressure control valve, shown as Y9.2 in the image, is supplied with 12 volts from the vehicle electrical system via fuse F1.14. When the ignition is switched on, 12 volts is applied to pin 2 of the connector against ground. Fuse F1.14 is located in the fuse box in the engine compartment. The image shows the yellow 20-amp fuse. The control unit supplies the valve with ground via a PWM signal. After the engine starts, the voltage measured from pin 1 to ground is just under 11 volts shortly after startup. The oscilloscope shows the following picture. The duty cycle is approximately 15%. Since the valve is controlled on the ground side and measured against ground with an oscilloscope, this means the following. Upper line, 14 volts, off time. Lower line, 0 volts, on time. The resistance of the valve is approximately 3.5 ohm. To measure, switch off the ignition and disconnect the valve from the circuit. Disconnect the plug on the component. Resistance too high, or OL, overload. Replace valve Y9.2. Resistance too low, short circuit. Replace valve Y9.2. Troubleshooting. Possibility 1. When the ignition is switched on, there is no 12 volts at Y9.2 pin 2. A. Fuse F1.14 defective. However, an error for the fuel metering unit valve Y28.1 would also have to be stored, as the positive side power supply for this valve would also be missing. B. Cable break between F1.14 pin 2 and Y9.2 pin 2. To check, pull out fuse F1.14 and disconnect the plug at Y9.2. Measure the resistance between these 2 points. Target value approximately 0 ohm. Resistance too high. Repair or replace the cable. Option 2. Check the control line from motor control unit A1.1 to Y9.2. To take the measurement, switch off the ignition and disconnect the valve from the circuit. Disconnect the plug on the component. Disconnect the control unit plug, the smaller one. Use a suitable measuring adapter or measuring tip so as not to damage the pin in the control unit plug. Measure the resistance between pin 1 on the Y9.2 plug and pin B45 on the control unit plug. Target value, approximately 0 ohms. Resistance too high, or OL, overload. Repair or replace the cable. Option 3. Short circuit between positive line pin 2 at Y9.2 and control line pin 1 at Y9.2. Furthermore, connector on control unit and connector on Y9.2 disconnected. Measure resistance between pin 1 and 2 on connector of Y9.2. Set point OL, i.e., infinite resistance. Resistance too low. Repair/replace lines. If all measurements are okay, there are 2 possible causes left. Insufficient power supply to the control unit. See also my video on my channel on troubleshooting ABS, ESP, and airbags. Link in the description. Engine control unit defective. Thanks for watching. More videos about troubleshooting and car technic on my YouTube channel, AutoFix Pro.